Civil service examinations are one of the most prestigious examinations in the country, and every year lakhs of students appear for this, and only a handful of them, only a few hundred of them get selected. So what is so different in their strategy? What is that they do so differently that out of lakhs of the students only few get selected? So today, to discuss all this, we have Miss Aanchal Srivastava, who has got All India rank 110 in this year's civil service examination, and also she has got All India rank 9 in Indian Forest Service this year. Welcome, Aanchal, and congratulations for both the achievements, Indian Forest Service as well as Civil Service examination. She has done BTech in Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering from BITS Pilani in 2015.
Yes,
and then you have worked in SanDisk in Bangalore for about a year. And after that, 2016, you started preparing.
Yes, ma'am.
And 2017 was your first attempt, and 18 was your second attempt.
Yes, ma'am.
In the first attempt, she has taken up the interview.
Yes, ma'am.
And in the second attempt, it's the final selection. But for Forest Service, this is the very first attempt.
Yes, ma'am.
A tremendous achievement, Aanchal, just within 2 years.
Thank you.
You are in the list. How are you feeling now?
Ma'am, I am not able to explain the kind of feeling. It is still yet to sink in. Because I've been working very hard for to clear this exam, and to have done it in the second attempt is in itself a very big feat.
Yes.
So I think that I'll take some more time to digest the fact that I've cleared it.
Okay, from where the idea of civil service conceived in your mind?
Ma'am, my father is in the Indian Forest Service, and he has been an inspiration for me in that regard. So this idea was there in the back of my mind, and while I was working in SanDisk, I thought that the contribution that I was making for the betterment of society was very restricted and limited. So I thought that civil services would give me ample opportunity to work for the wider public welfare. So that is why I decided to quit my job and pursue this line.
Okay, Aanchal, like 2015, you got the campus selection.
Yes, ma'am.
Campus placement, and you worked at SanDisk for almost a year.
Yes,
so while working also you were preparing, or what?
No, ma'am, I was not preparing while I was working. I was fully dedicated to my job, and but the idea of civil services and pursuing this line was there in my mind and was taking more shape. So I started preparing only after I quit my job.
So only after quitting the job you started preparing. It means almost 1 year dedicatedly you have given to the preparation.
Yes, ma'am. I put my heart and soul into the preparation.
So I think 1 year is good enough to prepare for this exam?
Ma'am, I think that it is, provided that the preparation is is directed towards achieving the final goal, because we may get lost in the massive sea of information, and a lot of smart work is required, and the sources have to be limited so that the number of revisions can be maximized, and whatever information is required for prelims, mains and interview gets ingrained in your mind.
Yes.
And so that is more required. If it can be done in 1 year, I think everyone can get through.
Yes. Okay, now that you have talked about the sources, so what were your sources for the prelims? What was your strategy for the prelims? Because prelims is one phase which is considered to be very dicey.
Ma'am, I think that both prelims and mains require an integrated kind of a preparation strategy. In the prelims, the scope of the information is tested, while the depth is tested in the mains. So I think that in the initial phase, while one is preparing, one has to prepare from the point of view of mains, because the conceptual clarity one will get the conceptual clarity while preparing for mains, and that will also help in prelims. One may not realize it soon, but it does help.
Yes, yes.
So
many times they ask you conceptual questions also,
yes,
especially in geography and all those subjects.
And in fact, while in deduction, while making guesses or eliminating options, the conceptual clarity plays a very great role in that regard. And so I think by till March or so, I prepared in an integrated fashion, and about 2 to 2.5 months I gave dedicatedly to prelims, wherein I studied mostly from the factual point of view, particularly seeing what kind of questions are being asked, so that one knows how the questions can be framed.
Yes.
And also I took tests quite frequently. So the tests were not to assess how many marks I am getting in the test, but to assess where the gaps in my preparation lie. So I think that is more important, to identify those loopholes and to fill those gaps.
Yes, these test series actually are designed just to identify where you are lacking. It's not about scoring very high or very low.
Yes,
of course, getting good marks in the test series, it's a boost.
Yes.
But still, if you are not getting good marks, but you are able to identify where are you lacking, that is what is desired from the test series.
Yes, ma'am. In fact, in the first attempt, I hardly scored above 100 in any test. I was only stuck at 90 or something. But somehow I got through the prelims that year also.
Okay. So for prelims, it is said that now too much of current is being asked, and at the same time now basics they are also equally asking. So how did you prepare both separately? Like, what was your strategy for your current affairs and what was the strategy for your static portion?
Ma'am, for current affairs, regular newspaper reading is a must, so that one is able to understand what is going on in the country and in the world. And apart from that, it can be supplemented by a current affairs magazine of any reputed institution, because they cover any of the articles in a very holistic manner. So one has to do it from the mains as well as the prelims perspective. So for current affairs, this was the only thing that I did. And for static portion, there is a list of standard books. Nothing more beyond that is required, provided your conceptual clarity is there.
Yeah, first thing is one should have a conceptual clarity.
Yes, ma'am.
And then revision.
Yes, ma'am.
Practice and revision, that is what is the strategy,
yes,
I suppose.
Yes, ma'am.
And then the second phase is your mains. Mains is completely different from your prelims.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of answer writing practice is required in the mains. So yes, how did you prepare for mains? Especially GS.
So one thing that I did not do before prelims was answer writing. So the total answer writing practice was between the prelims and mains. So there are many online portals where you get quite a good quality of questions as well as answers. So from there, one should start writing answers. And in the initial stage, the more emphasis should be given on the quality of answers that they are writing, and not writing it within the word limit or the time limit. It will happen eventually. And then after some answer writing practice has been done, one can attempt proper test of any reputed institution.
Okay. And then your optional is mathematics.
Yes, ma'am.
Mathematics nowadays is doing fairly good. So why did you opt for mathematics only, Aanchal?
Ma'am, there were actually many reasons to opt for maths, because my father in his days had maths as an optional, and he said that it will be good, it will be a good fit for you. Plus, I think that I have been reasonably comfortable in maths since my school days, and because this preparation requires a massive amount of dedication, so one should take an optional in which one is comfortable in and can put in a lot of effort. And also, I think that there is a lot of subjectivity when it comes to optionals from the humanities subjects. So maths does not have that kind of a thing. So that is why I chose maths.
Okay. And maths is very scoring also. It's like there is
Ma'am, maths is scoring,
but lengthy also.
Yes, ma'am. It is a lengthy optional compared to others, but and it requires more amount of investment because of the lack of overlap between this as well as the GS papers. However, more focus has to be given on understanding the concepts and also improving the accuracy. Only then one will get marks.
So you opted for maths after your prelims, or the preparation for the optional was simultaneously going along when you started the preparation for your prelims?
Ma'am, it was simultaneously going along. While I was preparing for GS during 2016, I was also preparing for maths. So before the full-fledged preparation for prelims, I covered most of the topics in maths.
Okay, newspapers. Yeah, newspapers, they are the most important part of this whole preparation. Even you said reading newspapers and all those for your current affairs and all. So most of the times, many of the students are complaining that newspapers are eating up our 5 hours, 6 hours. So how to read the newspapers? Could you just elaborate on that? What was your strategy on this issue?
Ma'am, I read the syllabus of the paper, syllabus of the entire examination very closely, and from there one can identify which news is important for the examination perspective. So I did this from the very beginning itself, and by that I think the newspapers can be covered in about 2 to 2.5 hours. And newspapers should not be thought of like they are eating up our time, but they are just adding up to our knowledge, and it is improving our understanding of about the subjects or the issues that have been undergoing.
Okay, and then final stage is your personality test.
Yes, ma'am.
And this year you appeared twice before the UPSC board.
Yes, ma'am.
So how is your experience of the board, and how did you appear for some mock tests also?
Yes, ma'am. I took about 5 to 6 mock tests. I think those are fine. One should not take a lot of mock tests, because what happens is that the answers become a lot more mechanical,
Yes.
and one may lose out on their original personality and their understanding about the topics. So the experience in both the final interviews was quite opposite, because in one I was put under stress and one was very comfortable. And I think what people miss out is that they take the final interview as kind of a viva. It is not a viva. It is just a conversation with 5 people who are very accomplished and have a lot of experience, and they're just trying to understand your view on the different issues. That's it.
Yeah, it's not a viva, it's not a test of your knowledge.
Yes, ma'am.
Basically, it's a personality test.
Yes,
they are
ma'am.
checking your personality. Yeah, Aanchal, you said one was a stress interview and the other was very cordial.
Yes, ma'am.
Comparatively, it was cordial.
Yes,
both were. I think board is always cordial. I think.
Yes, ma'am. Board is always cordial. They sometimes try to put you under stress to identify how well you respond to under stress and how composed you are under stress.
So, could you just recall any of the question which made you think that it was a stress interview?
When I just entered when I just sat down, so the question that was asked to me was, so you've presented a paper in your college. Now I'm giving you 2 minutes to present a paper on how UPSC can improve its efficiency from the time you entered the Bhavan to the time you sat in front of us. So it is a kind of a very difficult question to answer, because you are not supposed to even antagonize them, but also you have to be very practical in giving these suggestions.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose board was it?
Ma'am, it was Basi sir's board.
Okay, but in spite of being a pressure interview or the cordial interview, in both the interviews you got for civil service, I think the marks are yet to come, but
Yes,
otherwise in forest you have got good marks.
Yes, ma'am, I got good marks.
So it hardly matters whether they are putting you in pressure or not, they are testing you.
Yes, ma'am.
So if you are withstanding the pressure, you are getting the marks.
Yes, ma'am, because even in the real life scenarios, we will be undergoing a lot of stress, and we still have to maintain our calm. So that comes out during such kind of stress interviews.
Okay, Aanchal, another thing is, like, you are an engineer, mathematics is your optional, and then what is there that the answer writing is one thing, but essay and ethics, that is altogether different. So how did you prepare for those subjects?
Ma'am, for both essay and ethics, I prepared those 2 papers after the prelims and before mains. So essay preparation happens simultaneously with the GS preparation, because whatever information that you would be needing for the essay will be covered in the GS. Only thing that you have to work on is expression and consolidating all your knowledge in a fashion that is quite readable, and so that the examiner also likes your perspective and your take on the topic. And for ethics, it is more about how you think about any of the issues, and how morally grounded you are, and also the personality that you have, which is befitting of a civil servant. So I think that more work needs to be done on that. There are a couple of books which can give one perspective about how to think and how to act in particular kind of situations, which is what is needed in ethics.
Yeah. So Aanchal, now that the prelims are approaching, so do you have something to share with the aspirants about the whole preparation about your prelims, or otherwise the whole preparation about civil service examination?
Ma'am, in prelims, self-assessment is very important, and the mocks that one takes should be taken with a pinch of salt. Even if one is not scoring, one should not be bogged down by that. It is a very good opportunity to identify where the gaping holes lie and fill them, and also it gives an opportunity to revise more and by analyzing what kind of questions are asked, so that a person can also anticipate what kind of questions can be asked in prelims. So such kind of logical thinking can develop over time, and prelims can be cracked even if the paper is very difficult. It should be borne in mind that the paper is difficult for all the people and not just for you.
Yes. So 1 year preparation with full dedication and hard work has brought the success to you. So it can bring to anyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it was nice talking to you, Aanchal.
Same,
and wish you all the best in your new journey as a bureaucrat.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.